Well, it's that time again. You know, I used to open up my shows, you guys, and Chris Solari is our guest here today, our esteemed guest. But I used to open up going, "Hey! How's it going, everybody?"
I haven't heard that in a while.
I know. Jordan, did you hear that? He's like, yeah, he's like,
When you had it in the morning, too, that was even better.
in the
That
morning
woke you
from
up.
6 to 9, stud. Jordan Ciprian is the producer of this fine podcast, Beyond the Playbook, with Mad Dog Dave DeMarco. How the hell are you, Jordan? Good? We got to get you a stinking microphone, don't we? All right?
That nod translates.
Let me ask you something. Do you ever use the F word, Jordan? Good man. See, now that makes him trustworthy. That makes him trustworthy right there. Well, good afternoon, good morning, and good evening. This is Beyond the Playbook. This is different from the Beyond the Playbook TV show. There I can ascertain to be a well-groomed and Southern Italian gentleman that moved back to the fine state of Michigan. They called me the
Italy
no, down in Cedar Bluff. They called me a fine, how did they put it? A lot of the mayors, and because I adapted to that pretty well.
I'd imagine you were wearing white suits.
No, we didn't. Come on, you can't talk
looking
like
Boss
that.
Hog down there.
No, there wasn't any
No,
boss hog.
no.
No, see, that's the stereotype of the Deep South.
No, I'm just saying from a dress standpoint.
No,
that's
from
how
this
figured you
time,
were
I dressed like,
Yeah.
like Richard Gere. I was, I mean, nothing changed. I mean, I dressed and acted the same. But I couldn't come into the building and start swearing like I did at the other radio station. But because I worked at Weiss Radio. I told you that.
Yeah.
I saw 3 fatalities. It was
Three
some,
fatalities.
yeah. Well, let me give you the proper. Chris Solari.
Hello.
How the hell are you?
I'm doing
Detroit
well,
Free
Dave.
Press, via Lansing State Journal, Butler, Pennsylvania, Michigan State University.
Many of the Mad Dog iterations of morning.
Yeah,
evening.
you've been involved in this a long time. Now, I'm drinking club soda, so I don't want anybody thinking this is booze. I don't want anybody thinking this is booze, because they might think that.
There's nothing wrong with that if it is.
Well, we're not.
I mean, your employers might not think so,
No,
but
I can't
I'm
come
not-
and do
I'm
this
not
here.
hiring you,
I
so.
can't. I mean, it's not. I can't do this.
Yeah.
All right, so I was gone almost 4 years, and we were just talking, and to me, it's gotten worse in 4 years. There's no getting around it. Nothing will be as bad of situation as the Nasser situation. And we were both ground zero for all that. Okay, we were. And when I was gone, you had the shooting at Michigan State,
Yeah.
the fatal shooting. Terrible. I remember it was the night that Tom Izzo had his radio show at then Reno's, and of course now it's One Northeast, Scott Berman's group. Nick Chase was the engineer of this with Will Tiemann. I'm pretty sure Tiemann was there with Tom. And Chase texted me 20 minutes after the show and said, "Dave, there's live shooters on campus." And so I told Carol, and so I texted my stepdaughter and stepson.
We'd actually left campus talking to you.
Well, it was
before
singular.
that, and I drove right by the Union, right by the classrooms that were everything was happening in, like an hour after I drove by it. I mean, so it was, that's another scar on the area. I mean, every one of these things that you're talking about isn't just a scar on Michigan State, but it's a scar on the entire area. And I think that
Whole country.
Sometimes, but sometimes the local element of that gets lost. I mean, I can remember having my kid in gymnastics. My oldest now, she's almost 12 years old.
It's unbelievable.
But back in 2018, when she was about 3 or 4, we had put her in gymnastics, and I remember talking to some of the folks who ran the gymnastics place. They said kids weren't coming out because of all of that. And that you're talking about business livelihoods that got disrupted because of it locally.
No, you got to differentiate. You're talking about the shooting?
No, I'm talking about
Nasser.
the Nasser situation.
Oh, there's no getting around
obviously the ties with gymnastics. That was, I
with
mean,
with
that
Twistars, and then of
yeah.
course the guy that owned it
But
ended up killing
she
himself.
was not at Twistars. She was at another place, but they all felt that.
Yeah, sure, I
And
can believe that.
then the shooting. I mean, there right before that, there had been a swatting incident at Okemos High School. So there were a lot of people on edge.
Yeah, I remember that.
For all of that.
I heard that.
I mean,
That shooter.
and those are scars. Those are scars
Oh,
on a
it's
community.
terrible. It takes a long time. I mean, a long, long
everything
time.
that's gone on at Michigan State around that, that's a scar on the university, the alums. It's a scar on the community as well because local businesses rely on Michigan State to be a stable presence, and it's the farthest thing from stable over the last 10 years.
Well, and again, a lot of these terrible accidents with fatal shootings around the country, whether it be in a mall or a parking lot or a church or a university or a movie theater, wherever, a lot of these people that are the shooters have been red flagged by people. Okay. A lot of them have had trouble with people, have had trouble where they've worked, have had trouble of where they attended school. And somehow it slips through the cracks. Okay. What was it? What was it?
Sandy Hook.
Yeah, Sandy Hook. I mean, that kid, he, for 6 months, lived in the same home as his mother. He didn't talk to his mom. He emailed her. They emailed each other. The food's ready. Come down, and they would. Well, so I'm saying the guy in Lansing, the shooter that ended up like taking his own life, he was red flagged. The stuff that he had done. Now, I want to get away from that.
Yeah.
That was a terrible, terrible thing.
And unfortunately, we've seen. You mentioned Sandy Hook. There's Virginia Tech.
Oh, it goes on and on and on. They're just.
That's not one of those
Dallas
things
Green's
that's not
granddaughter.
one of those things where you say it's a Michigan State problem. That's a societal problem that affected Michigan State. But Michigan State's got its own problems.
Well,
and that was just one of those.
Oh,
things
it was
that,
just
that
out of nowhere too.
it on top of all the other stuff that had been happening. That I mean.
Well, then you had
I think that's partly. And this isn't about the shooting at all. This is about just all of the things that have happened over the last 10 years. That's why there's a lot of scars, a lot of scabs, and a lot of really upset and furious people right now about the way that things are happening.
Oh, there's
with the university board of trustees,
so
president situation.
So let's roll off of that because as far as what's going on in this country with that, because it's terrible with these shootings. It is. It just, I mean, you have to have eyes. You go into a public place, I don't care if it's Cedar Bluff, Alabama, Center, Alabama, Okemos, Michigan, Lansing, Michigan. You have to have eyes. And I'm always looking all over because you never know. I mean, you just never know.
I took my kids to the grocery store a couple weeks ago out in Okemos, and there was at the front counter a guy that was yelling and screaming and berating the staff, and he had a backpack on. And those were the first things in my mind.
Right. It has to be. It has to be. So let's get down to brass tacks. Okay, so when David D. left to go to Alabama, Mel Tucker was the head football coach. Now, it seems like that was a long time ago. That was a knee-jerk hire. It was during the pandemic that he coached. Then we spoke about this, you and I, when we did the taping of the TV show. Tucker was lucky because he got a stamp of approval by one of the greatest, if not greatest, college football coaches in the history of the game, and Nick Saban. So he got hired from Colorado, where he was like 6-5 or whatever his dismal record was. He got hired here. It wasn't proper how he got hired, but he got hired. All right, so he sort of gets bumps around a couple years and uses the pandemic excuse. Then he finds Kenneth Walker III. Kenneth Walker III doesn't leave under duress he came from Wake Forest, didn't he?
Played against Mark D'Antonio's team in Mark D'Antonio's last game in the Pinstripe Bowl.
16 touchdowns I think he had coming over here. He didn't leave under duress. He just wanted to be like Lorenzo White. He wanted to get the football every play. And again, he was the reason. I mean, the whole team was outstanding. No getting around it. But I mean, he almost won the Heisman Trophy. and there's never been a Heisman Trophy winner in the history
He had my vote.
of.
I had a first place vote.
Yeah, I mean, and so he didn't play in the, and you were at that game in Atlanta when they played in the Peach Bowl. We almost, that's 2 hours from us. We almost gone, and no, I wasn't in Alabama then. I wasn't in Alabama. No, I wasn't in Alabama yet. That's right. I was not
early.
That
was early, or end of 2021.
Yeah, I was in Alabama a year later. So anyway, Tucker does well, and then Ed Orgeron wins the national championship with Ken Burrow, or with the Joe Burrow, and all these good receivers he had, Jefferson, and he had Chase, and not Nick Chase or Bill Chase, but Chase. And so then he gets let go, or whatever his problem was. So a lot of people panicked. They thought that everybody was going to come and at LSU in Baton Rouge and hire him to be the football coach and take him away, which we wish that would have happened, but it didn't. And there was a former basketball player that owns the Phoenix Suns and another man that ponied up a lot of money, which that's fine, okay, but it didn't work out. And then other problems with this head football coach arrived, and then this guy was shown the door, okay, for whatever reason. I wasn't here. You covered it, and I'm going to let you weigh in on this. I'm just saying from afar, but people kept me in the loop. And then a former player and a coach took over. Mark D'Antonio was brought out of the bullpen. He got, $550,000 to hold a clipboard and walk the sidelines, and they stunk. They were terrible. And
you know what, though? They ended up finishing 5-7 that year.
They were better with that.
They were 2 special teams mistakes away from essentially making a bowl game.
They were better once he got out of there.
But there were 2 special teams mistakes in the Rutgers game and the Iowa game. Getting 6 wins and getting to a bowl.
Seems we watched every game, when we were in Alabama and before that. We watched them. I watched every game, and. See, the difference when I was in Alabama, the first year I did the post-game tailgate shows for the Crimson Tide. And people were like, couldn't believe it. And I'm like, no, I'm doing it. Now, I did the tailgate show here with the dean and with Beanie and whomever else was there. But it was different. I was only on it for a few minutes. There, I was on it for the whole time. After Learfield had their little sword, I had 2 gentlemen in the studio in Tuscaloosa. They sent clean feed to me up in the mountains up in Cedar Bluff. Well, anyway, I have to watch every stinking frame, and that's when Brian Branch came on the scene, and that's when Jahmyr Gibbs came on the scene. And it's different following that football team, and Saban was the coach. I had to take notes every so I was ready to go with these guys. Here, you don't have to do that. Okay, so then they let him go. Then I'm not going to even. And Harlan Barnett gets let go, and then they bring in Jonathan L. Smith. I never met him.
No L.
No, Jonathan. Yeah, John. No, yeah, not John L. Smith.
Well, there were L's, but
a lot of losses. And he brings in and I like his defensive coordinator. He stayed though.
Yeah, I like Jonathan Smith.
I'm not saying I never met him because I heard he's a great guy. He just stunk here.
Yeah, and I think he's a good football coach. I just think that the transition time needed to go from where he was at Oregon State, West Coast, and learning an area, you don't have that anymore. And you can blame. You can blame Indiana and Kurt Cignetti for that because they were hired at the same time, and the timeline to give a coach has completely evaporated. I mean,
because
that's not Jonathan Smith's fault, and quite honestly, with the way the situation was, it wasn't a terrible hire for Michigan State. It didn't work out.
Well, he was better than Tucker, but Tucker did better than him.
Right. And back to the Tucker thing, the way that transpired, the initial hiring. They were looking at Luke Fickell.
Yeah, they were looking at Fickell because I know that Lynn Henning wanted him real badly.
Part of it goes back to when Mark D'Antonio announced his resignation and retirement, which was the day before signing day in February of 2020. It was after the coaches' meetings in January. So a lot of candidates were off the board, other jobs. And so when you mention about it being a panic hire, the panic part of it came in when Fickell turned them down.
No, that's what I mean.
And because they had the way the interviews went, They interviewed Tucker first. They'd flown to Colorado. Then they flew out to interview Robert Saleh in San Francisco.
I like
and then
him.
came back to Cincinnati and
He coached at CMU too.
Said it ball was in Fickle's court, and then he turned him down.
Right.
And so then now in that interim between Fickle turning him down and when he got that offer, Tucker had gone to the Colorado Boosters and said, I'm not taking that job. I'm out of the race for that. I'm staying here. Well, then they came back and they had to give him more money. And this is a moment, you know, everyone's going to look at the USA Today story about Tucker and Brenda Tracy, but that moment when they had to give him a lot more money is kind of the plight that not just Michigan State, but all of college.
Well, I
athletics.
remember
It's throwing money at problems, throwing money at that's going to make it fix. Well, at some point, the money's going to run out, and you're going to need to find the money. And where's it going to come from?
Before we take a TO, I mean, on the tailgate show that I was involved in, Samuel Stanley was the presidents came, and I told the dean that I wanted to ask this question. So he came in. He was he and I got along, of course, with Tim real well, all of us. And I said, listen, he goes, you can ask me anything you want. I go, within reason, right? He goes, within reason. So he comes into the RV, and I said, okay, we're live. And I said to Samuel Stanley, all right, are you going to sign this guy to the contract he's looking at? And I think, to be honest with you, I think it was the Michigan game that Michigan State was down 16 points and came back. I think it was that tailgate, and he looked at me like, he didn't say this, but I knew you were going to ask me this. And he said, listen, I said, everybody wants to know this. I got to ask you this. I mean, I'm not going to ask you like Walter Cronkite behind me. I'm going to ask you like a fan. I said, are you guys going to, are people going to get money together and pay this guy? Yeah, and I could did a bookend to it, said, is this guy worth it? Because obviously he wasn't worth it, but he did get the money. Now we'll take a TO, and before we do, Jordan, I want to tell you about Dr. Paul Rashid, looking for a dentist with 37 years experience. Call the office of Dr. Paul Rashid at 517-323-4105. He's at 1031 Mall Drive, fully digital, same-day appointment, crown placement. You tell Dr. Paul Rashid. He's always accepting patients, and he's one of the best dentists in the area. The Top Shop, another great company. Looking for the best countertops in mid-Michigan? Look no further. The Toon family for over 50 years, whether it be laminate, granite, quartz, Lansing premier quartz dealer. Call Jeff or Anthony Toon at 517-323-9085. Free estimates, The Top Shop. Great Lakes Elevator. They can meet your elevator needs traveling up or down, commercial or residential elevators. No job's too big or small. Reliable skill, service, team. They have the best, and they go all over it. I know that my stepson, Tony Kovac, who is a licensed tech for elevators, and Andy Simmons, those guys go all over. Of course, everybody knows the Simmons family in Williamston. Cost-saving price guaranteed. Your trusted partner for elevator solutions. Give them a call at 517-655-5406. Tell them any elevator can be fixed with Great Lakes Elevators. Tell them that the Mad Dog sent you. The Williamston Roadhouse. Welcome to the ultimate hangout, where great food, cold drinks, and big drives. You've been there. You live in Williamston. Feel the best music every Wednesday and Saturdays. Join them for a great outdoor space. Look them up on Facebook, the Williamston Roadhouse. And then Nick Simmons isn't just wrestling, it's Saw Wrestling, where the action is real and training hard. Jameer Gibbs just worked out there last week.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice.
Stop in and learn from experienced professionals. Nick Simmons is one of the best. Nick and Andy are two of the best brother combinations. They are the best in the history of this state. 819-517-819-8381. Sound Solutions, they offer trusted and reliable audio video services in mid-Michigan area. Sound Solutions uses a variety of smart home devices that make your home very accessible. If you want the best in quality sound, call Sound Solutions. Ryan Tiemann now at 517-202-3047. This is right there, Beyond the Playbook with Mad Dog Dave DeMarco, free press, free, of course, our friend Chris Solari, Jordan Cyprian producing this program. We'll be right back. And we're back. This is Beyond the Playbook with Mad Dog Dave DeMarco. Chris Solari is our guest. Next week, you're not going to want to miss, because two of the most bombastic, well-versed, smart callers in the history of sports radio in this area are going to be my guests, and you're going to have to wait and see who those individuals are. We're going to have a
Powder
lot.
keg.
Huh?
Pure powder.
Oh yeah,
keg.
it'll the one guy will have a carpet knife, and one guy will. I don't know what the hell that's going to be like. We got to get Jordan Cyprian though. We got to get him a.
Needs a mic. Yeah.
Yeah, he needs a mic. Yeah, I told him that.
Join the fray.
Don't forget One North Kitchen and Bar. Scott Berman, Kirk Kwiatkowski, and of course Kathy Fisher. One North offers a beautiful and versatile space to host a wide variety of range of special occasions, accommodate anywhere. One Northwest, One Northeast, One North Jackson. They have things going on all the time, and of course the coaches shows are there. All right, so let's just cut to the chase. Okay, so now let's cut out. I don't want to talk about the Brenda Tracy Tucker thing. I don't want to talk about that. I just don't. I want to move far. John L. Smith got Jonathan Smith got let go. They bring in Pat Fitzgerald, who we all know. We have a new president. We have a new athletic director. They're gone. And then a lot of controversy with the board of trustees. This goes back years with just different names, same situations, tumultuous. And I don't know what. I never met the president. He seemed strong. I've read enough about him. I know that what Tom Izzo made public this week. Jay Batt, I made comments about him. I thought his situation was different. I thought that he should at least stuck it out, stayed at least 1 year to see whom was going to be the new president and this, that, and whatever. And he jumped ship. And you know what, dude? You were here throughout the whole thing. Go ahead.
Yeah, my first week on the job at the Free Press when I left the Lansing State Journal was the first Nasser story in USA Today and the Indy Star. So say I've been here through all that, yeah. And then
You have.
10 years prior to that, I was here at the State Journal, and now 20 plus years I was at Michigan State. Well, 30 almost, actually over 30 years. So, it's the one thing that's been constant is turmoil. And even back before, I mean, you when you were growing up, I mean, when Clifton Wharton took over.
Well, yeah, I mean,
John Hanna.
Well, and let's go
Bert
back.
Smith took over.
Well, and let's look at. And I'm not trying to cut you, but I mean, I was in 11th grade, 10th grade when the Ted Bell credit card thing, and Denny Stoltz was the coach. They got put on probation. This, that, and whatever. It's always been something. Then Muddy Waters comes in, and it was not good. You had athletic directors changing and coming and going, and I think that the most stability they had, and Ron Mason did a really good job, but the most stability they had for a little while was Luana Simon, Mark Hollis, Mark D'Antonio, and of course Tom Izzo.
The 2010s, yes.
And Tom Izzo is the only one still standing, and he'll always be the one because he's a tough Italian guy from the UP that is, he chews cement, spits out sidewalks. The guy's intense. But go ahead, keep going.
Yeah, I mean, I go back to the Wharton and Bert Smith situation because the prior regime with Biggie Munn as athletic director and John Hanna as president for 28 years was the most stable.
And of course, it was different. Everybody knows
that. It also was the biggest growth in Michigan State. I mean,
because they were two of the best in the history of college athletics.
They got into the Big Ten. When Biggie was football coach and Hanna pushed for that for a number of years. They got into the Big Ten. That changed not just Michigan State, but the entire community, right? Now all of a sudden the cow colleges sitting at the big table with University of Michigan and Ohio State and Indiana and Purdue and all these schools, right? And it became a nationally renowned research institution on the back of what the Big Ten is. But since the 70s, it's been a roller coaster ride. And it's that point that you mentioned, Luana Simon came through as an academician, whatever you want to put. She worked as a provost. She understood the university. Mark Hollis came in as a student and a manager and a low level
Oh,
worker.
he was
The-
like
the-
Brian
he,
Cashman of the
and he
Yankees.
rose his way up. He understood the inner workings. Michigan State's not an easy place. It's not an easy place to understand. Tom Izzo's been there since 1983. He understands it. Mark D'Antonio had been there as an assistant coach under Nick Saban, so he understood it. It's such a weird thing because there's a push in some ways to you need to change that. You need to get the insiders out, and you can have Michigan State become what it can become. But then you see Sam Stanley came in from the outside, didn't work. Mel Tucker essentially came in from the outside. He spent like 1 year as a graduate assistant here. That didn't work. Jonathan Smith is an outsider. The list goes on and on.
Okay,
and
so
on.
let's go back too. Okay, so George Perlis was blood and guts MSU, but he also and he was a friend, and he taught me a lot about Michigan State folklore and with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Okay, so he was a player, he was a coach, and then he goes on to the pros. He comes back. They had to buy out his contract with the USFL. He gets here. He's football coach. He's successful to an extent. I would never gas George Perlis. A lot of people would, but I wouldn't. He ended up as a coach and an athletic director. Then he got to be a board of trustee, and it was always turmoil. And then he got
he
fired.
also sued the university.
Well,
after
because
he got fired.
because that's right. And then they tried to a lot of stuff with George. Henry Bullitt taught me a lot too. Both those gentlemen are great guys, and they taught me a lot. And the Bullas are Michigan State. His grandkids, his kids. He taught me a lot about Michigan State too. My family owned DeMarco's restaurant. It was like Munn East. I mean, we had with Ron Mason and Terry Christensen, and all these coaches would come there and eat. And I know the players, a lot of those guys ate their pregame meals there and things like that. Jerry Marshall, Danton Cole's dad would come in, or Bill Cole. It was crazy. So we were a lot of, with DeMarco's, but long before I was on the radio, knew the importance of Michigan State University. And then it just there was never stability. There just wasn't. I mean, you bring in, who was the lady that
Marilee Dean Baker?
That was terrible.
And I mean, you look at the president's situation there with DiBiagio,
and he brought her in.
He brought her in,
and they ended up.
Some people say it was out of spite to stick Perlis and Judd.
Come
with a
on,
woman,
of course it was.
And then he bolted for Tufts.
Of course it was. And then,
but you think about it. The internal politics at Michigan State, and I had people. I wrote about this in the Free Press last week. The amount of people that I've had asked me that question, why can't Michigan State get out of its own way? And I asked Tom Izzo the same thing, because he'd been here longer than really almost anybody.
He's been here 30 years, 30 plus years.
He's seen it at every level. Part of it's because it's near the Capitol. I think that's a little bit of it. Part of it is that there are so many, and maybe the fact that it is so big. I mean, you got a lot of vested interest from alumni. You got a vested interest from politicians. You got all these people that have a vested interest and feel like this would be the best thing. This would be the best thing. And the times when it has been good, there's been a consensus and there's been a direction. And it's when you have the splintered approach and you have people that are, I don't know, want to say picking at it, because I think that there's an important part of, you need to, I always say to make progress, there has to be some friction. But there's some people that haven't been able to handle the friction.
No,
that's part of
a lot
of
of egos, a lot of narcissism, a lot of gaslighting, a lot of crap. We were speaking with Chris Solari on Beyond the Playbook with Mad Dog Dave DeMarco. A lot of people want to know, Dave, are you? I'm a starter and ranger at Groesbeck Golf Course, and I have 15 to 20 people every time I work. Dave, are you going to be back on the radio? No, I'm not going to be back on the radio. This is my radio right here, my podcast, and you can find it at WLNS Plus, YouTube, Spotify, Apple TV, all the streaming platforms. We tape every Friday. I want to thank Brad LaPlante for helping as much as he can, and he's a great guy. Jonathan Gustin helps as much as he can. And these guys have a lot of stuff, but I was recruited to do this when I was in Alabama. The TV show, Beyond the Playbook, with Mad Dog Dave DeMarco, is on Sundays on WLAJ at 6 o'clock and 9:30 in the morning on on WLNS. So I had to practice that, but I know it all now. And all right, so let's cut to the chase. Let's get right all the fat out of this conversation with all the past. Now we're in the present. So Gustowitz gets hired, and I never met him. You met him. Jay Batt comes with him from Georgia Tech. Palumbo comes with him, and he's right now the interim athletic director. So
Well, there is no interim athletic director. That's why I was looking at my phone.
All right, so
there's still no interim athletic director. Still
so
no interim.
He's just sitting in the chair with athletic director.
He's an executive deputy athletic
Okay,
director.
so
he's in charge of the Spartan Ventures project.
Okay,
but he right now, I guess you could
be
say
leader in the clubhouse.
He's the face because because they had a jersey patch unvailing for a sponsor on Monday after
I saw that on social media.
Jay Batt left for Kentucky.
Well, he's Italian,
so yeah, and I did ask him. I said, Palumbo, are you by chance related to Joanne McCauley? Because that's her maiden name.
Right? Yeah,
he's not. But
Joanne P.
That's just a little aside there. But no, and
he's out of LaSalle.
He's a good, personable dude.
Bowie, Maryland is his hometown. Baseball player in college.
There were a few. I mean, when you look at what the importance was, why they brought in Kevin Gustowitz. I mean, the Sam Stanley situation, it caused a lot of people because.
Well, that lady was the interim. What was her name? Woodworth or
Teresa Woodruff?
Yeah, see,
but there was questions of coming out of the Nasser situation of whether anybody would take the job with a good CV, as they say in the business, in the curriculum vitae. And Stanley had a real good resume, but he had never been a president at a major institution. I believe he came in.
So why did he leave? He left because of the board of trustees.
He left because there was backfighting and infighting and
he had enough.
Fighting. And
so so I'm going to ask you this.
He took a lot of heat during COVID, and
what he couldn't do. Now I'm going to ask you this.
But so they hire. Then that was with Gustowitz. There were questions. Is the board going to get in the way? He hesitated to take the job, but he was at North Carolina, and he had the chops. And quite honestly, he has some big ideas, and I think that's when there are big ideas, there are going to be big questions that need to be answered with those ideas. And the friction that you're seeing, like I said, you need friction to move forward. But when the friction,
you got to have some oil to have a well-oiled machine. All right,
you can't put gasoline in.
Chris, I want to because we're fighting. We're always going to be fighting the clock. So I'm going to say this. Okay. Why did he leave? Just get it in layman's terms. Why did he decide after getting he's taken an $800,000 pay cut to go to Kentucky?
So May 17th, there was
Clemson. Excuse me, I'm so confused with these. To go to Clemson
meeting, because there was rumblings that he might be leaving, and there was concerns about the board of trustees ethics policy that had been forced onto them to sign, and some two board members, Rima Vassar and Mike Balo, and actually a third, Dennis Deno, eventually signed it, but he also was opposed to it initially. And then at that board meeting, they also doubled Guskowitz's salary, and he left. But then it came out afterward that prior to that board meeting on the same day, Rima Vassar had elected trustee had a 23-page notice to file a lawsuit dropped on Michigan State's lap for racial discrimination. So, I mean, this is the infighting. This is the situation that Kevin Guskowitz is seeing now firsthand, a year and a half, 2 years on the job, and he took the Clemson job and took a pay cut.
Okay.
Whether or not that happens, we're still not sure because he doesn't have a date to leave. He doesn't have a date to start at Clemson. There's a lot of business leaders
all right,
and
so
prominent leaders in the community trying to keep him.
Are you sort of assuming that it's not a done deal, that he could stay at Michigan State?
I think that I talked to someone in the know yesterday, and the way that they phrased it was there's not a 0% chance that he's officially gone. I mean, there's still hope that they can get him. What that hope is, I have no idea.
All right, so he splits, or he's in
the process.
In the process, and then you got the athletic director, Jay Batt. I never met him. Everybody loves the guy. I don't know. I mean, I don't know him. I don't know him. You've had conversations with him. I don't know him. Then he leaves because he doesn't. And we talked about him a little bit.
He came to work for Guskowitz.
I understand that, but I mean,
that's the
come
big
on,
reason.
man. He doesn't go to Clemson. He goes to Kentucky. Why doesn't he just like? I'm here. I'm going to stick this out. I'm going to see who the president's going to be. No, he takes his ball and goes. I think it's a soft move on his part. I don't know the guy. I think
First, I think it's important to understand that he had a personal relationship with Guskowitz prior.
Well, that's
to this,
fine.
but they had never had worked together in a working capacity.
Well,
so I do think that's important to understand because, like everybody, and they talk.
But he
about
came
their
here
past,
because
but
of Guskowitz.
He had never worked for Kevin Guskowitz. He had never worked with Kevin Guskowitz as a peer in that leadership capacity. So who knows? I mean, maybe he didn't like
what
how
is this?
Guskowitz
What
was
is this
responding.
Greg Williams guy? What is he saying about all this?
Well,
he's
he was at
he's the Milburn Drysdale
Monday,
of the guy.
He was sitting next to Tom Izzo on Monday at the announcement of the jersey patch, and was with him. I mean, there were a lot of people there. Most of the coaches, if not all the coaches, were there. Pat Fitzgerald came over. He had the last couple of days of camp, prospect camp. So he came over and it was there for the announcement and then headed back over. So, I mean, yeah, but Greg Williams was there. That was part of Jay Bat. He helped raise
but that
$400
thing
million,
was
but a lot of that was Izzo.
That thing was in place before Bat even got here.
Yeah. And who knows? I mean, that's the thing is Bat talks about the alignment, and he came here talking about alignment.
Yeah,
a lot of the things he said at Kentucky are the exact same things. He said a year ago when he got hired at Michigan State.
All right, let's take a TO, sir. Don't forget Arts Pub. We'll take our last one. Open 7 days a week from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. It's patio season, and of course, Carol and I will be. We go over there a lot, and we love Greg Sinacropi and what he's done there. It's been there now a while. DoorDash delivery, online ordering available. Their wings are excellent. Jordan, do you love chicken wings? Absolutely. How can you not? Any food, anytime. So burgers and pizzas, 7 a.m. or an omelet at 9 p.m. It's Arts Pub off Kalamazoo. Dean Transportation. I was just with Kelly Dean the other day, one of the best guys in the world, and his family, Patrick and everybody. They're a major school bus and motor coach company based in Lansing, providing Dean Transportation for general and special education students. For many Michigan school districts, Dean Transportation founded over 50 years ago, and boy, they are involved with Special Olympics, and it's so great. In addition to school services, its charter division, Dean Trailways, offers motor coach rentals for tours, events, and other groups. Chapman Siding. If you're looking for any kind of gutters or specialized roofing, siding, windows, doors, and custom accessories, contact them, chapmansiding.com, or call Ben Chapman. They did our home. Ben Chapman, a great guy, lifelong resident, second generation. Chapman Siding, 517-327-2894. We'll take a TO and we'll come back. This is the Mad Dog Show, but it's called not the Mad Dog and Company, not the Mad Dog Show. It's called Beyond the Playbook with Mad Dog Dave DeMarco. This man really needs no introduction, but Chris Solari, you've been around a long time. All right, so as we speak, there's no president. There's no athletic director. There's a guy that is not even interim, but he's there.
Yeah, they're lame ducks. They're still technically around.
Lame duck. I'd say give the guy a chance. And I said that the other day. Read more about him. He was an athletic director for 1 year at Corpus Christi. He's been in athletics. Plus, he's a Paisan, so I'm going to give him a nod there. All right, so as far as candidates, I'm going to say a candidate.
You can't.
Can I say a candidate?
You can say candidates, but it doesn't matter because at this point, the way that the structure is, as you saw with everything that happened, right? I mean, with
what happened? What happened?
With Guskowitz coming in and firing and removing Alan Haller.
Yeah. What? So what? Okay.
These university presidents want to bring in their own.
So what happened with Haller anyway?
So I mean that's part of it.
Did he do a good job?
I think Alan Haller was the right athletic director at the wrong time.
All right,
if that makes sense.
No, that sort of doesn't. But
had they have hired Alan Haller instead of Bill Beekman, back in 2018. He would have been very young, very green, but he could have learned on the job.
Well, Bill Beekman
And-
got thrown into a hornet's nest too.
but also remember what happened during Alan Haller's tenure is NIL became a thing.
That's right.
And NIL collectives popped up, and then they disappeared. And so,
and you know what's the worst thing about?
Had he have been the athletic director in 2018 and had a run up time,
Yeah, I mean
for all that, then I think Alan Haller.
I mean
would have
that.
been fine.
Listen, all due respect, we're friends. I mean that's easy to say because I mean that's like saying this, that, and whatever. I mean, if they had DNA when Al Capone was, they'd have had him earlier, not for tax evasion. I mean, you could say anything you want about that, but I mean, Haller was given a chance, and it didn't work out for whatever reason. I like him, and he's a buddy.
But part of that is a university president.
But Beekman, you know, I know everybody pummeled on him, and the guy's a good guy. The guy did a lot of things. There was only 2 lawyers, attorneys, that were athletic directors in the Big Ten. He was one of them. I just felt bad for the guy because he got thrown under like
he was put in a position where there was no way.
Oh, there's no way he was going to win.
Way he could not just could have win. He didn't know the landscape of what college sports was.
No, he didn't. He got thrown.
And that's a leadership above him to put him in that position. I mean, that's on John Engler.
All right, so
not
now,
only to put him as an interim, but then to give him a full-time job.
I know. And so what I was going to say is, and I said this earlier, I think the best stability they had at Michigan State was with Luanna Simon. They forced her out. She had to like clear her name with the Nassar situation, right? She had to. Okay.
Yeah.
And then you had Tom Izzo and D'Antonio, and that was not cool what ESPN and Paul Levine did with those guys. But then D'Antonio retired. He got his $2 million. He had to extend his thing. He got his $2 million or whatever it was, and he got his $550,000 to stand on. And I mean, he's the winningest coach in the history. I'm not going to hold back on this stuff. I never have. Okay, I'm not. I mean, and then you had before that the athletic director for 10 years, like you said, came up the ladder in Mark Hollis. And then out of nowhere, and they pushed him out, I got to believe to an extent, but he jumped ship and quit. And instead, like I said, instead of hanging with that group, he jumped ship. He quit, right? He quit.
I mean, yeah. I mean,
And now he wants to throw his name in the hat to be a possible replacement for Jay Batt. It's just one pertinent question that I would ask Mark Hollis, all due respect, if he's going to watch this. And I know that I used to get this all the time on the radio. People used to say, when I used to go to pressers, and I stopped going to pressers because I was a full-time salesman, and everybody knew that. And you, Jim Comparoni, Graham Couch, everybody else, you guys would put on Twitter, X, you guys would put on social media, Larry Lage, or whomever. I'd be watching it, streaming it just about. It just didn't help me to go to these things. And so, like I said, Hollis jumped ship. So now I like to say this. If I was at a presser and he had a presser, I'd ask him. I'm not afraid to. Why do you want to be the athletic director again? And was Tony Paul was the one that got him to talk about this, right?
I think there were a couple people that got him.
Why? Okay, I would say this, Mark. Why did you quit when you did? I think it's a pertinent question. I think it's a viable question. I think it's an honest question. Why did you quit when you quit? Okay? You still could have been the athletic director maybe if you just stayed there. But again, it's what Bat do. It's what people do. When things don't work out, they got other opportunity. They talk about the transfer portal. That's all. Administrators in sports, they're in the transfer portal because all they're trying to do is transfer to get the better deal or whatever doesn't work for them. And I don't know. I mean, if as far as an advisor, the stuff that happened, good. But I think bringing back, and I saw this stuff on social media. Oh, bring back Mark Hollis. Oh, bring back Mark Hollis. What is he going to do?
Listen, it's the same. I'm looking at this from my perspective in the same way that I look at Alan Haller's tenure, right? A good athletic director for a different era.
He was good.
The landscape has changed. Mark Hollis has been in private sector and working with Dan Gilbert and Rocket with the golf.
Well, Chuck
He's been
Sleeper had a
he's
lot
been
to do with
working
that too.
downtown with the sports commission. I mean, he was one of the big reasons, I think, behind them getting a Final Four back again this year.
And a lot of people thought that
he's connected. It's not like he's
but a lot of people thought he was more involved in that than taking care of business here at Michigan State.
And that's the thing is now you have to be a dynamic fundraiser. That's why they went out and got Jay Batt, because that was his CV. As I mentioned about the university presidents, the CV on Jay Batt is he would go out and raise big sums of money. Mark Hollis never has been that guy. He's been a big thinker and an idea guy, but you need to have that fundraiser component in that, and you have to be able to get a lot of different things now in terms of managing the money. And managing the money is big because when you got revenue sharing and you got players getting a share of the
and it's
pie,
not college athletics anymore. It's professional athletics.
You've got, well, I call it television athletics.
Yeah,
it's
right.
all predicated on TV dollars. And if those TV dollars go away eventually, which they won't, they'll change, they'll morph. These departments are wholly reliant on that. They've punted all responsibility for what college sports are, whether it be football or basketball, to the television networks. They are a programming block to the TV executives. And you saw, I think Purdue, I think the conference, but the schools and the conferences now are hiring athletic directors and they're hiring conference commissioners from the TV realm because it's television sports. I mean, you're seeing that across the board. And it's all about the next TV deal now. That's going to be the big thing. That's going to talk about.
And you look at the Big Ten,
but that's where Mark Hollis at this point. Remember when he was there, they still had in-house media rights.
Right, I understand that.
So all this stuff has changed.
Well, and don't forget the Big Ten's grown too. I mean, you got all the teams on the West Coast now, and it's not the Big Ten; it's like the Big 80. I mean, and where's college athletics, which doesn't even exist? The NCAA, I mean, it's just a figurehead, just letters now. When you have, I think that, I'm trying to think of the quarterback, what's his name? Bryce, that's quarterback for the Panthers right now, the Carolina Panthers. He was, Bryce Young. He was the most highest paid guy when I was doing the tailgate show for Crimson Tide. He made $3 million. Now $3 million's nothing. I mean, when Trey Holloman left to go to North Carolina State and bit the apple with Wade Wilson or whomever that coach was that was there, and then he goes back to LSU, and then Devine goes from the U with Jim Larinaga to State. And then he goes there.
Yeah. The thing is, and this goes back 120, 130 years. And the big thing about the House settlement, the big thing about, pushing in NIL and all these things, it was a Pollyannish thought and belief that donors weren't going to step in and start throwing big money around. Like that's happened. That happened in the 1800s. I mean, that's how college football became a thing, is like alumni were bringing in steel workers off the street to come play for their schools, and guys that had no ties to the university. I think it was Fielding Yost was a student at one school, got recruited to play somewhere else for a weekend and went back to his school. I mean, this was going on in the 1800s, 1900s, and if you don't understand the history of it, well, history's going to repeat itself. This is the same thing with Michigan State.
Well,
break the history repeating itself. If you don't learn from the history and change things, then you're going to have this. And this is what it is. It's the same thing. You've got scamp athletes that are getting paid. You got coaches that are making millions of dollars. The educational component, I've talked to Izzo with this a number of times. The educational component of athletics is just destroyed. It's gone.
Oh, it is.
So why are
it's
colleges
not student
even
athlete? It's
why
not
are college sponsoring sports if there is no educational
Okay,
component?
so I'm going to ask you this. As far as Chris Solari is here, it's Beyond the Playbook with Mad Dog Dave DeMarco. People are like, Dave, are you going to be on the radio anymore? No, this is my radio right here. See, and on some of these podcasts, you can, drop an F-bomb once in a while, but I won't, due to respect to people that gave me the opportunity to do this. And people got to understand what I'm talking about is it's not pent-up stuff. It's just stuff that has been, and as far as Pat Fitzgerald, I mean, he's got to win right off the bat. I don't even know who the hell's on the team. I mean, you're
That's
covering
not a
this
Michigan
stuff.
State problem. That's a college.
No,
sports
I
problem.
know, I know.
That's
but
not even a college football.
The
It's
worst
every
thing,
sport.
to me, the worst thing that happened with the NIL was that it came in right when the transfer portal came in. Those two divided like the Red Sea, parted the Red Sea, because it was the transfer portal, NIL.
And don't forget, the other part of it is the immediate eligibility of transfers.
Right, that's exactly
It
correct.
wasn't just all of that. It was that they don't have to sit out a year.
Now, did you see in Major League Baseball, I don't know if it was fake news or what, in the meetings they had yesterday with the commissioner, they might eliminate high school students getting drafted into Major League Baseball.
Yep.
And
that's got to be collectively bargained.
And if that happens, and then look at what happened with Jake Boss. He had 3 starters who were good players transferred to they're in the transfer portal. I mean, that's tough on these guys. And then you look at, I mean, I was gone, but I watched this from afar. And I'm going to ask you this. Why, and I know, but I'm going to ask you, because you're a prolific sports journalist in this country. Why was Tom Izzo, what is when he was PO'd the other day,
Monday,
can you tell the audience that's going to watch this, what was the blood and guts that he was so PO'd about?
Losing Kevin Guskowitz.
I understand that, but
what? And the infighting.
Right,
and
right.
all the things that
he said 600,000 former students, we need to get together.
To unite.
Okay, so how do they need to have another way of hiring and electing these trustees? Go ahead.
I keep looking at this, and it's in I mean, it's got to be a constitutional change at the state level, and it's not just about Michigan State. When that happens, it's about the University of Michigan. It's about Wayne State. The other two, those 3 schools are elected board of trustees, and all 3 of them have had problems with their board of trustees. Michigan State's have been longer reaching.
Oh, it's just
and
torture chamber,
more widespread.
That's what they had to call it, Michigan State torture chamber.
I do think that there needs to be a change, and to me, and I've kind of looked at the Penn State model. They've got a 38-member board, which includes elected officials. It also includes
the governor can remove, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, didn't that happen? I know you're going to keep.
Hold on. Let me get
right,
the Penn
ahead.
State thing is I think important because you've got 38 members on that board. There's elected officials. There are university appointed from the university president. There are governor appointed. They represent the different colleges of interest, whether it be the agricultural, the engineering. They represent the sectors of business. There's a lot of business leaders that are involved in that. Do these schools need that bloated 38? Probably not.
Ooh,
but I do think that you need more voices that represent the people, that represent the constituents, and as Izzo said, the stakeholders, because this diminishes the value of a degree. This diminishes everything when you have this constant embarrassing cycle of backfighting and infighting, everything else.
It's absolutely. And listen, let's not stay here. It was bad when Joel Ferguson was the main guy.
55
God bless
years.
him. God bless Joel. I knew him since I was in 5th grade. He used to call me. I said that last week when I did my podcast. He used to call me and scream at me, and then I would scream at him. If you can believe it or not, we had a great relationship. I mean, and then he respected that because I wasn't. And now that I'm 66 years old, I'm really not gonna. I mean, people are like, when watch this going, he doesn't know what he's talking about. Oh no, yeah, I do know what I'm talking about because I've been through all this. I'm not going to hold back like some media people have held back, and in closed doors they say one thing, but then they get on their venue or their form of media, and they're like, roses are red, violets are blue. I'm not going to be like that now coming back. I just, the way it is. It's going to be interesting to see who the new president is, who the next athletic director is. I mean, really, how Tom Izzo has stayed here is beyond comprehension. I mean, it is. You got and people when he takes more gas during the season. He's won one national championship. He's got a really super team coming back and young guys. But when he's gone, there's going to be nobody to fill Paul Bunyan's shoes.
It's sooner than later.
There's no getting around it.
That's
tick,
not,
tick, tick,
and
tick.
that's not saying anything. That's just the fact of longevity, the fact that he's 71 years old.
Yeah, he doesn't need all these other guys. What do you think Drew Saban out of it, and Roy Williams out of it, and Coach K out of it, and all these guys? I mean, you get to a point where you don't want to have a heart attack. You know, you want to enjoy the money that you've earned. You want to enjoy the things that you have purchased. You want to enjoy your grandkids, your wife, all the wonderful things that come with it. You don't need this crap. But see, he is a guy that is not going to walk away from something like some other people have. And some people have walked away and now they want to come back. You know, and
it's a trying time for anybody in college sports, but especially when you compound it with all the stuff
it doesn't just happen here. It happened. Look at all the stuff that happened at Michigan. You had a coach that got in Harbaugh. He got suspended for two different things, won a national championship, and then and then he can't come back ever to coach college. The guy that replaced him almost or is going to do jail time. I don't know how that ended up with Sharon Moore. Now they think this guy is going to be a real – I mean, Ward Manuel's had to go through a lot. You know, he just has. I mean, the stuff that they've had there.
That's a long list of things.
It's a long list of stuff there. It's not just it's not a Michigan State thing, a Michigan thing. It's a college athletics thing. We see this all the time. Now, what about the U? Now, Jordan Cyprian, how much time we have? Okay, I want to tell you about Craig Stiles at Ameriprise. Craig Stiles is a managing director at Ameriprise and a fiduciary committed to delivering disciplined, client-first financial guidance. Craig Stiles is my wife and I's financial consultant. He's done a great job. He's put us where we are. Call him today. Craig Stiles is one of the best in the area at 517-878-9685. All right, so we got 3 minutes. I'm starting to feel now because Jordan's experience and expertise. The Mad Dog is starting to really feel at home.
Percolating.
Percolating. That's a good one. And no, I'm not going to be on the radio. Okay, no, I'm not. And
are you going to be a member of the board of trustees? Are you going to throw your hat in the ring for university president or athletic?
I wouldn't want that pain in the ass ever. I mean, I could name like about 50 guys and women combined that it's just, why would you want to be on it?
I mean, it should be for the greater good of the university.
So the Rick Pitino thing, okay, so he's tried to say to this day, and God bless him because he resurrected his career, but still, he's had a lot of skeletons, but the recruiting with the mother and daughter prostitute thing was why he got let go, right? Right? Okay. Right? Okay. So
he had a few things.
Yeah, well, there was other things too. Yeah. So the athletic director, didn't he get fired because of this? Because he was tight with Pitino. Is that right?
I believe I'm not fully.
The president might have fired him, but then because the board of trustees were all pro Pitino. And they were upset that he was let go. Didn't the governor of Kentucky remove all of them from?
I recall something like that. But this is, again, the difference is what happens at one can then happen at the other.
Well, you're talking about Gretchen Whitmer before she gets off. That's not going to happen.
So that's the layer of complexity.
That's not going to happen. You had the last governor.
It's not just a Michigan State thing. It's whatever you do at Michigan State, whatever you do at Michigan, whatever you do at Wayne State involving removing
right, I understand.
It becomes precedent for the others.
Okay,
and
so
for the next governor.
So the governor before Gretchen was Snyder. He was a Michigan grad, so he wasn't going to do anything. Then Gretchen Whitmer, she had 2 terms, right? 2 terms. She's not going to do anything. I mean,
listen, the voters in the state of Michigan should have a say over how these universities are governed. However, so should the alums. So should
They
the
should.
people in the agriculture, in the business community, in the college itself.
Because this
I mean,
isn't working.
I mean, there needs to be more voices represented than just 8 elected officials that are nominated at a party convention
Well, and like I said, if
that
you're
have
gonna,
no tie, that may or may not have any ties to.
if you're gonna add NIL and transfer portal to college athletics, then you have the old guard with the trustee situation. You're going to have to modify that. You're going to have to revamp the way that is all going down. And I mean, because it's not going down. And I mean, I understand Jay Batt wants the best for his family, this and that, and best for his. But I mean, to me, when you do something like that, and Michigan State falls all over him and his family and all this stuff, and then he splits. I mean, I'm looking at, if I'm a Kentucky person, I'm like, wait a minute, this guy was there for not even a year, and he split because the guy that recruited him, Gustwitz, who I had never met both these guys, they leave. It's terrible.
It's a long summer ahead, and possibly a long next year.
Well, I mean, the football season is going to be here before you can say Jimmy cracked corn.
Yeah, but if the university's looking for another.
Are they going to have an athletic director and president in place, do you think, before the first game?
No,
Football?
No. Those searches, the search for a president itself sometimes takes 8, 9, 10 months.
I know.
I mean, and when you talk about what athletic director is going to want to come and take a job at a place where you don't know who your next.
George, did you ever meet Jay Batt? Did you ever meet the president? Did you ever meet the head hockey coach of Michigan State?
There you go.
Okay, yeah, I knew he'd say yes to that. Oh, how much time are we running down? All right. First of all, I want to thank Jordan Ciprian, doing a great job, producer. I said Brad LaPlante. Beyond the Playbook with Mad Dog Dave DeMarco. I want to thank Chris Solari. This airs on streaming venues, WLNS Plus, Apple TV, YouTube, Spotify, Roku, and then the TV show. Write this down. It's on WLAJ, Channel 53, Sundays at 6 in the afternoon, 6 p.m., and then Thursdays at 9:30 a.m. on WLNS. So we're going to get this all going. And no, I'm not going to be on the radio. I don't want, you don't have to ask me anymore. Or
Dave, you're going to be on the radio?
No. No, people don't want me on the radio. The people that own these radio stations don't want me on the radio. And that's fine.
You know what they say, 6 of one, half dozen of another.
Well, when you're,
I don't understand.
There's some things in life you just don't understand. But anyway, everybody have a blessed Father's Day. I'm going to be celebrating. I have 2 stepchildren who are wonderful people, but it's going to be my 12th anniversary of marriage on Sunday. 12 years. And they said they never thought what did the hog Bruce Robbins say? Hell is froze over. The mad dog got married.
Yeah.
All right, everybody, we're going to see if this changes at all with Michigan State University and if the Tigers can get on track, which I don't know if they can, and if Tarek Skubal, if they decide to move him. I don't think he's going to be moved. But anyway, have a wonderful one. Chris, I'm going to let you have the last word because you're my guest.
Yeah, I got nothing.
Okay, you sound like
I got nothing because there's too much to think about right now.
Jordan, you want to say anything before you go? Anything do you want to say to your girlfriend? Maybe she might be seeing this, and that you guys can hang out or something like that. All right, everybody, have a wonderful one.